Hi, and welcome to what will be the January edition of CookBook. We are still down here in Knoxville, and our guest today will be Jim Warner, a poet, and Aubrie Cox, a poet as well, and they are the people behind the CitizenLit podcast. So they are going to teach me today how to make lumpia, which is a traditional Filipino dish, which has been explained to me is sort of like an egg roll, but thinner and more meat. It sounds fantastic. So they're going to teach me how to make that, and after we make some and sit down for a little bit, we'll get to talk about CitizenLit for a while, talk about Aubrie's new book. There's actually going to be a book launch in Knoxville for it tonight, so we'll get to celebrate a little bit after we get done with CookBook. So welcome to the January CookBook. Let's make some lumpia. Aubrie Cox, Jim Warner. They're going to teach me how to make lumpia. So, how do we start?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to brown the meat.
Okay.
Because
what meat?
we're going to use ground pork.
Okay.
Which is.
Can you use other meats, or this is just a suggested?
You can. Ground beef, the ground pork because of the fat content.
Okay.
It has it mixes well. It blends well. It has enough of a sharp enough flavor on its own that even if you're not using adobo spices or if you're not using any additional spices on top of it, which we will anyway, you'll be fine. Whereas if you're using ground beef, you definitely need to season it more. You have to consider what you're baking with it, or what you're cooking with it as well, as far as lard or yogurt.
Okay.
Pork is just.
So you've got butter.
I've got butter, yeah.
If it was a different meat, would you want to use a different sort of fat content?
I tend to use butter for a lot of my brownings.
We use a lot of clarified butter actually.
Okay.
Just because it's a little healthier.
Sure.
And it still has the same flavor as butter.
Yeah. Well, butter is the candy bar dairy products.
So okay, you put the butter in, and then what other seasonings? I'm seeing adobo seasoning. What is adobo seasoning?
This one is. We got this in Illinois.
We got this came from the Milwaukee Public Market.
Oh, it's Milwaukee.
This is from the Milwaukee Public Market. But
this
basically,
one actually has PBR in it.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Aside from that, it's got salt, sugar, or onion, garlic, pepper, Mexican oregano, cumin, cayenne. And if you don't have
that sounds like a greatest hits. That sounds
yes,
good.
exactly.
Okay.
It's a little different than when you think traditional adobo. If you're doing like a chicken adobo or a pork adobo, that's really heavy garlic and vinegar. Then this is almost like it's more of a Mexican seasoning than it is an adobo seasoning. They call it adobo because
for name recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it sounds better than just not quite Filipino seasoning.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other reason too, like with the butter, because this ground pork came from the farmers market here in Knoxville.
Okay.
It's a very, very lean pork, and so if you're using ground pork like on its own, that's a very, very fatty ground pork. You're probably gonna have a lot, because the fat's gonna leak through so much. But because there's not a lot of if there's not a lot of fat content, it's gonna not brown so well on its own. It's just gonna burn.
Okay.
And you do want to do it a little low because you don't want to dry it out.
Yeah.
And so, actually,
So,
want to go through the
butter, the meat, the adobo seasoning. Do you need to put anything else?
Not at the moment. I do have a little ground garlic powder as well.
Okay.
Partly because just trying to make sure that you're not being so not getting too much salt in there. Like there's a lot of salt in that adobo seasoning, so I kind of balance out with garlic powder to kind of get the adobo flavoring as well. And you could also use onion powder if you had it. But the Mexican oregano, the garlic powder, and the onion powder are kind of the three key parts of that.
And then we add water?
After this is brown. So we brown it, and then once it's kind of browned all the way through, we're going to put 2 cups of water in there because there's about a pound of ground pork in there.
And you said most of the time you cook this overnight.
No, that's...
No.
Well, what we do is you'll cook the mixture. What this is right now, which is the pork, and then we're gonna add the cabbage and carrot.
Okay.
We cook all that down, and then we put it in the fridge overnight. That's
okay.
The whole thing gets in. So this will be cooked all the way through.
Right.
But then it'll basically sit overnight to kind of marinate a little bit. And also the other part of it too is like It's way easier to wrap.
If it's chilled.
Yeah.
It's actually cold than, hot wrapping.
Because the lumpia wrappers are so thin, if you have the hot,
Sure.
it's gonna really not, it's gonna stick, it's not gonna be very easy to put them all together, and so then you just kind of have a sloppy mess.
And who wants to handle hot meat?
That too.
So we get everything browned, and then we add the cabbage and the carrots, and you cook it all together.
Yes, once this is soaked through, we're kind of
Okay.
skipping a bunch of steps.
What would you normally do?
Okay, so you get the meat browned, and then you're gonna put the 2 cups of water in, and you're also gonna put in bouillon to add a little extra flavor.
Okay.
Especially if you have a really lean meat. Like I'm using actually this better than bouillon, which has it's a paste.
Huh.
I found it in the grocery store a while back because again I was looking for low sodium options.
Sure.
I actually like it a lot better. It's made with beef extract, basically. Like
So more taste to it.
yes, it's
Okay.
actually you want to smell it?
Yep. Oh, it's got a lot more to it than normal.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm pretty generous with it. But you put that in when you put it in the water,
Okay.
and basically you let all that steam through. So all that's going to steam up into the meat.
okay. And you have that cooked down, and
You cook
then
that.
you add
Yeah,
the
then
cabbage
you add
and
the
carrots?
cabbage and the carrots,
Okay.
and you cook all that up. And once all that is cooked up, you're going to put that in the fridge overnight.
Okay.
And then after overnight, you bring it out.
It's like what you do with a good pasta salad.
Exactly.
You give it the night to.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we're gonna, and we've actually made some overnight too, so we
Okay.
can do the wrappings with this.
Awesome. I think Jim's gonna keep cooking, and he's gonna cook this down and add everything, so we've got even more to enjoy later on. And then you folks are gonna teach us how to wrap everything, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be right back. What the final product looks like. We've got the meat and the cabbage and the carrots, and it's been in the fridge overnight, so it's got the good consistency. It's gonna taste how you want it. So how do we fold these? How does this work?
Okay, so underneath this is the lumpia wrappers, and I've covered them with wet paper, like damp paper towels, so they
Sure.
don't dry out because they are incredibly thin. I was very lucky to find individually wrapped ones, like at the supermarket, which is kind of magical. So as you can see, like some of these are going to need some straightening out.
Right.
They're a little bit dry because they were frozen first. But to counter that, I've also got over there a bit of
Okay.
a flour paste. So there's
What all goes into the flour paste?
flour and water. Like I think I did like I think it's
2 to 1.
2 to 1, yeah. So they go with the flour and the water. So it's basically a paste that.
Thank you, Jim.
It's basically to help bind it because, like,
Okay.
if you feel it, like, it doesn't have a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
not
thickness.
gonna, once you roll
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So I'm gonna set this up here for a minute. And so basically, what we do is we've got this lined up, and this one's a little wrinkled, but
You want to throw flour down on the cutting board so it doesn't stick.
oh, it is gonna stick. So I'm going to take a couple spoonfuls and I'm going
Okay.
to line them up on this here. This is one you have to be very manual. Actually, you want to try a piece of it before we start rolling?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just pick it out of there. Like, always taste what you're cooking.
Oh, yeah.
So, I did about 2 big spoonfuls there.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this over like this.
And then you use this on the last to
Yeah.
sort of seal it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might even do a little bit of that now. And again, I use my fingers because I have more manual control. I'm a messy cook. And so I fold the corners in to kind of seal it, kind of like you would a burrito.
Okay.
Also, have you done origami at all?
Terribly in elementary school.
Okay, this is going to be a very interesting experience for you, and
Okay.
I apologize ahead of time.
That's all right.
Because like with these really fine wrappers, that's kind of what it's like. Is like folding origami paper.
Okay.
And if like you ever struggle with that too much, you can also actually this is a little. Probably should fill these in more because like you're going to be rolling this all the way across. Here, this is also my first time rolling with lumpia wrappers, but I was going to say if. Working with lumpia wrappers is too difficult for some, or like they're just too fragile. Spring roll wrappers will also work. They'll also cook up very similarly.
Sure.
So after you've folded these in, you basically come in and fold the rest.
So
of
in
them.
thickness, it goes like egg roll wrappers, spring roll wrappers, lumpia wrap.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I seal that up there, and so you've got your first Lumpia. That's a lot like egg roll spring roll.
Sure.
So I've got that all laid out, and I'm going to set it down. So I'm going to set it down so that the seal is underneath, so it has time to press.
Okay.
So right here's a rather messy, but now I've got my
Okay.
twist foot. So actually, we could probably even roll it on that. So you want, or no, that's not gonna work. Like they're also like it's almost like a crepe. The
Yeah.
way this is. I'd say start it this way. So
Okay. So we do our 2.
yeah, about 2 spoonfuls. It also depends on how thick you want your lumpia to be. Like some of them,
Right.
a lot of times traditionally are rolled very, very thin, like almost like
Taquitos.
taquitos. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. But I personally like the way I always taught and the way that I tend to like them. I like them a little bit thicker.
Okay.
So you might want to just take and like what you've got there and kind of mush it together a little bit, so
Okay.
that otherwise it's going to kind of fly everywhere,
Sure.
and it's just going to make your life more difficult.
Okay.
So you're going to fold that over.
Okay.
And you want to tuck that underneath the filling that you just put in there.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now take some of the paste and you want to paste these sides here just a little bit. Yeah, you don't need a whole lot. Especially this mixture is particularly thick, so
And then you fold.
in. So fold in as far as you can go with that side.
Okay.
A
little too far.
no, you're good.
There. Okay.
And then you probably want to paste down on these sides here and on the end.
Okay. Oop. All right, and then the origami part comes in.
You just actually just roll.
I'll just go. Okay.
Yep.
See, there was someone in my elementary school class who had to fold my cranes for me
Yeah.
to be sent abroad. None of
Oh.
mine counted. It's been
Ouch.
embarrassing for me for a long
Well,
time.
this might be your redeeming
You never know.
moment. And yeah, usually the tighter the better, because otherwise then when you
Right.
fry them, like all the things are gonna leak out.
So what I did wrong was I didn't tuck it like you did.
I don't think you didn't quite tuck it.
Okay.
But that's not a bad start. I'd say that's actually
Okay.
I think
Well,
that's
we'll
actually very
take
good. Like it's actually like it's sealed.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's sealed, then you're gonna be. I think you'll
You won't lose.
Yeah.
It won't be pretty.
Yeah, but it won't necessarily explode. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, yeah.
Okay.
It having a seal is probably.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean presentation's good, but as long as it tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once we get them rolled up like here, how do we cook them?
Then what we're gonna do is, well, we've got the frying pan occupied at the moment, but we're gonna fill it with olive oil,
Okay.
because lumpia fry very, very quickly,
Okay.
and the insides are gonna warm up very
So
quickly.
get the oil hot enough.
Yeah.
And then.
And then you kind of basically, it's like a minute at most. Like, you put it in there,
Okay.
wait till it's golden brown, turn it over, golden brown,
And then
done.
it's ready.
Yes.
Especially this has already been cooked. This
Yes,
is all prepared.
exactly.
This is just getting
And that's so
the
thin, like, it's gonna,
lumpia
yeah.
wrapper.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be very much like the spring roll where it gets golden brown and then instantly done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish rolling up some of these, and we'll cook them, and then we'll get to sit down and talk about CitizenLit and a little poetry
Awesome.
and whatever the hell else comes up.
Okay.
Okay. Our lumpia all cooked and fried up.
Yes.
I haven't had it before, so I've got one with hot sauce, one without hot sauce in terms of my half here, and they look and smell delicious. So as we get to try these, I wanna learn everything about CitizenLit. How did you folks start this?
Well, CitizenLit started actually about, we launched in September, but it was really about a year's worth of discussion.
Because I thought I remember hearing about it way before then.
Yeah, because at the time, Jim was working at Quiddity, and he did the NPR show for them as well, as was the assistant editor. And do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I was managing editor.
Yeah, or managing editor. Sorry, I'm
You
thinking,
demoted!
I was thinking, well, because there was the editor-in-chief and then the managing editor. And
Sure.
And then there was a sub-manager, and then a manager of the sub-manager, and then a supervisor.
Oh, titles are the
everything.
best.
And a couple of interns.
Vice interns, and then there was I know. So yeah, I did the I was the managing editor of Quiddity for 2 years,
Okay.
and on top of that, I was doing the a monthly NPR show that they had with WUIS.
Okay.
So we were pretty, so it's kind of it's the Illinois hub station for NPR. So we were doing a show that was primarily, it was interview slash contributors and readers for Quiddity.
Okay.
So it was very centric to the magazine and the interviews. A lot of them ended up in the magazine or print versions of it, or in one instance we actually we partnered with Ninth Letter, so the transcript ended up in Ninth Letter, but we ended up doing the audio for the interview. Okay. And then May of this year, Quiddity's contract with Benedictine ended. Okay. Which meant I was a free agent. I think that's the legal way I have to put it. Sure. But yeah, so then yeah.
Yeah, basically, because we got the word in November that was happening. Okay. But even right before then, Jim started talking. He's like, I kind of want to do more with this. I think this could be utilized even more, like this idea of radio and podcasting and things like that. So we really started talking about it all the way back then. But once we learned that Quiddity's contract,
that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was going to happen. It was very much like, all right, how do we make this happen? And kind of exploring and discovering. Sure.
Originally, we had pitched it to UIS.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Because Quiddity actually still has a show with UIS. Okay. And one of the things that we talked about was that I pitched to them was, well, we can do a podcast that increase our profile of the magazine, increase the profile of the radio station. Right. They had the PRX distribution set up, and they were not interested at the time. Okay. So
that left you to your own devices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so once we hammered down a name, which was a lot of every day, Jim was coming to me with these different ideas, like what about this, what about this, what about this, and then we were thinking, more and more about this concept of literary citizenship, and he was like, well, what about CitizenLit? And I was like, yes.
There it is.
And everybody he told it to was like, yes, this is it. So he bought the domain, and it's like, all right, domain there, done. Did some interviews at AWP, but really started in the summer. We did, since I also lost my job, so we were like, all right, we're just going to do whatever. So we drove, we did a lot of traveling, interviewed a lot of people, and started curating this thing. And after Pygmalion was kind of our like build up to that.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we had enough material that when we did the launch, as we talked, Aubrie and I talked quite a bit about, well, if we're going to do this, we need to, it has to be viable. It has to be something. Theoretically, it sounded like it was going to work, but we needed to know that we could do the interviews. We could. There was an interest there, and also come up with a game plan. And it took months. Sure. And
were we going to do it like weekly or bi-weekly, or how long was it going to be?
Yeah. And then, we wanted to launch right at Pygmalion, because we were going to do a bunch of interviews at Pygmalion, and it just seemed like the right kind of as far as momentum. And so yeah, our first show was
September 28th. Yeah, it was that Monday after Pygmalion, and also during that time we got our website up, we got our branding, we did our social media.
How many interviews did you end up doing at Pygmalion?
Let's see here. Because we had Kathleen Rooney, which that episode just went. Mark Neely and Jill Chrisman, which is coming up in a few weeks.
And then James Alex.
Oh, James Alex from Beach Slang. And then also we interviewed Eric, I can't pronounce his last name.
From $2 Radio. And,
okay.
And then we also recorded a couple readings there as well.
Nice.
So we did a lit crawl. Jessica Hopper read.
Marcus Wicker.
Marcus Wicker, who...
That was an
awesome reading.
John McCarthy, who's now the managing editor of Quiddity.
It was part of the lit crawl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got quite a bit of work out of that.
Yeah, it sounds like. How long was Pygmalion?
2 days.
2 days?
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of work for 2 days.
It's a lot.
Well, it's it was one of the things, again, when we were talking about maximizing our impact. Go to a conference, let's do this, and this, and Aubrie, really planned these things out, contacted people ahead of time. So we had, we really had this docket where it was just like, we had a schedule by the hour, like, all right, we're this person, then this person, then this person. And then Caleb and Jody from Pygmalion and Seth were fantastic as far as giving us the room to kind of maneuver,
Nice.
help provide space for us, and
Press passes.
Which, when you're trying to do that much stuff in 2 days, you got to have that sort of coordination. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we were already down here in Knoxville at the time, so like we were gonna make this 9-hour trip. We had to make it worth our time.
Okay.
Because like I think one of the things we learned over the summer was that idea of planning ahead. Because we tried kind of freewheeling it and being like, hey, when we get there, we'd love to do this interview, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. And I was like, all right, if we're gonna do this, we really have to it's like organizing any event is having some kind of schedule and making sure like people understand, it's like this is how long it's going to take, this is the things we're going to ask, kind of things we're going to ask you and stuff like that, and making sure we have that organizational structure so that we can bring something that is very dynamic and very live.
Right.
And that's all Aubrie. I am no, as far as organization.
You came up with a name. What else did you need to do?
I came up with a name. I do the voice, and then that's about it.
Okay.
I mean, like,
well, you also do the editing of the show. You spend a lot of time in audition, which is, I mean, Jim spends about 5 hours per episode, at least, in the studio, just like editing audio and cutting down and mixing, and he finds all the music and he figures out what's going to be the storyline, and we divvy up interviews, so depending on our relationship with the person we're interviewing or who has time to do the research and things like that. We kind of pick who is going to do that day.
Okay.
When it comes to voiceover structure, like the actual the show itself, it's a lot of Jim. When it's a lot of background, it's a lot. Like I do a lot of the emailing and the design and updating the website and social media. Like we take turns on Twitter. It depends on the day.
Sure.
But a lot of it is, I mean, that whole organization that is Aubrie. Absolutely.
So you're both fantastic. Excellent. Plus the beard. The beard takes a little time.
Yeah.
You gotta,
it's a lot of grooming. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
You're an incredibly vain man. I think we know that. But
this interview was actually twice as long. It's just the hair.
The hair. Yeah. Started out, it was light. Took a while to
exactly. Yeah. And all these mugging shots.
There you go. Well performed.
Yeah.
So you're both poets, and you do CitizenLit. Your launches tonight, so we get to hear you read.
My
the new chapbook.
Yeah, and I also just was elected editor for Frog Pond, which is
awesome. Haiku, right?
Yes, it's the official journal for Haiku Site of America, which the Midwest coordinator actually is not that far from you, Julie Werther's in Ohio. So,
sure.
I do that, and then you see here. You're my assistant. That's right. That's what I'm thinking of. Frog Pond, you're going to be my assistant editor. So.
I wonder how I got that job.
Well played. Well played.
It was a tough call.
I know somebody.
Yeah.
But
I almost considered asking Bruce Ross.
So I saw when I was trying to do my own little bit of research. You went to grad school for fiction? Was that?
No, I did poetry. Like I actually didn't really. Like, Ball State doesn't, you kind of unofficially declare fiction or poetry.
Sure, but it's...
But I kind of went in there, I kind of want to do both because I'm very interested in hybrid genre. But yeah, that tagline, I went to university to write a novel and came out writing haiku. That went back, actually, as far as undergrad. Nice. I went, because I was I very much want to write fiction. I want to be a novelist, and I found haiku, and it was all over.
Okay.
It's the exact opposite, but haiku is the thing that I was looking for in my writing so much because I love the co-creative relationship between the writer and the reader. I don't want a reader that's going to sit back and not participate. So a lot of my writing had a lot of ambiguity and would cause the reader to have to step forward and fill some things in, and a lot of people would always be frustrated about it. It's like, well, how does this end? And I'm like, well, how do you think it ends? Tell me. I want to hear your side. And haiku lets you do that. Haiku is, it's a poem in one breath, it's the juxtaposition between two images. And, it's said that the writer writes the first half and then the reader finishes it. And so that relationship is very evocative to me, and it's something that good literature in general never dies because every time somebody reads it, somebody finds something new, or somebody brings something new to the reading. But haiku is designed exactly for that. It's a social art. It is not the social art, but very close.
Right.
And you know, like there's a lot of dynamics to it that a lot of people don't realize. Because like 575, like while it works in Japanese, does not work in English, and so we don't. A lot of English language haiku do not adhere to the 575 rule.
Right.
And so being able to like being in the position to promote that more, and then you know finding all these ways to manipulate language, and you know embracing that concrete image, but also finding the cultural resonance. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding.
So out of how many readers that are reading your haiku are you sort of like just around the corner, sort of going like, just sort of checking out how just you show up occasionally? No.
Every now and then. Yeah, I mean, like, but I think that, you know, part of the education I got from that, I was doing that. But definitely, I'm always like, I want to hear your feedback, like,
yeah.
And I love it when
and you get 5 and 6 different interpretations. And,
I love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then for you, that means it's working because you've done your part and you've started the
exactly. Like I went to Haiku North America, which is the largest haiku conference on the continent. It happens every 2 years.
Okay.
And I ran into somebody, like, it was kind of a funny story. Like, I didn't know her before, and I was in the bathroom, and she's getting ready to leave. And she's just like, oh, I mean, we didn't really get to talk, but I really wanted to tell you how much I love this one poem. You know, it's just like, it really did something for me, and it's been sticking in my brain, and this was a poem I'd had the hardest time getting published. And she was just like, this is a really awkward place to tell you, but I was...
Haiku bringing people together.
Exactly. And, you know, she's just like, you know, I have to go, and I was getting ready to be on a panel, and I'm like, well, just email me. And so, like, she did. She emailed me this really long, beautiful reading, kind of talking about her own, like, kind of philosophical journey, like, in the last, like, 6 months or so, and kind of how she found it. And it was just kind of like, wow, that's...
So really... she finished the process and took it even further than that.
Yeah, and she gave me one of her haiku that she's like, it reminded me of this poem that I wrote. And so you have this exchange between two writers and kind of seeing, like, you know, the essence of one poem and how it resonates with another, and these conversations happening both between two writers as well as writer and reader, and poem to poem. And
do you dabble in haiku at all, either?
Actually, I do more haibun than haiku.
Okay,
which is it's a prose. It's basically a prose piece juxtaposed with haiku.
Okay.
I was writing a column called "Best Worst Year" for Sundog Lit. For a number of years, and actually, the last 7 or 8 months of Best Worst Year, I really got into haiku after, and haibun. So yeah, I mean, obviously.
Oh, that's great. Justin and Sundog and
and Justin was an excellent editor to work with as far as
I'm sure
providing space. You know, it was just having the freedom to really explore that, and just like, hey, I'm going to start writing haibun. These are going to be haibun from now on, and I was like, okay, you know, and a lot of that obviously after meeting Aubrie. And getting into that, and the hybridity of it, and just how old of a form it really is, and how well it lends itself to contemporary writing as well as to memoir too. I mean, because it is basically a travel log.
Right.
So, yeah, but no, I'm not as well established in the haiku community.
And and that's why she's in charge, and you're. Right? I mean,
absolutely.
The pecking order's been established.
That's right. I'm the sidekick. So.
Although I will say, like, for someone who, like, came to it when he did, like, as in someone who has been writing poetry for so long and watching him do haiku and then move to haiku, and like his poetry is very good, and that's like part of aside from the fact, I can just yell in the other room, like, hey, do you have your work done? Like, that's definitely one benefit, but, like...
At least it's from the other room.
Yeah.
It's not,
but no, like, it's this fact of he gets it, like, he understands, he doesn't understand not just how poetry works or how haiku works, but he understands how these two communities can work together, and that idea of, though, how to go from talking about haiku with haiku folk and like within haiku aesthetics, and then talk about it as a poem. And that's the important thing, is like not forgetting that haiku is a poem, and he does that extremely well. And so like,
well, it's community.
And I need that in someone I'm going to talk to, because that's one of the things.
Well, that seems to be the focus of all the things we've been talking about. The establishment from Quiddity to CitizenLit, and sort of your viewpoints on how active the reader should be. Because the majority of the time when you hear poets talk about their work, they're like, well, I've done this. experience it, as opposed
Yeah.
to get on your toes. We're going to sort of do this together. And
Well, I mean, it's poetry isn't Bonnaroo. I mean,
it's valid.
it's like conversation. It's like any good form of art. It's a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the first time I heard Miles Davis Kind of Blue. I was reading the liner notes. When Bill Evans goes into this conversation, talking about how it's a conversation about, talks about Japanese form and that, I think that stuck with me, and I think that ultimately that's why we write, or it's why we do this too with CitizenLit.
Sure.
And it's that idea of having a conversation, bringing people together, and it's not, if it was about just experiencing my work, then why the fuck would I leave my room?
Right.
I
You
don't
have the internet for that.
You could just send the work out, and you could be
right. But no, it's about having these things, and it's also why I think Aubrie and I really make an effort to go to readings, to record rather than we're fortunate enough that we have the flexibility in our schedules to travel, and we've lived in places that are pretty central to do that, and also this is the only hobby I have left.
Well, and cooking, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say also the fact that there's two of us, because we
You
can
can split things up and
we
do
can
your
split
own
things
work.
up in if one of us can't do that one thing right now, the other person can, or while he's driving, I might be researching,
Sure.
or if he's interviewing, I'm taking notes, or vice versa, and so because he's has a better background and he's better at interviewing than I am. And so I can be asking questions and he'll pick up some things that I don't hear and he can ask them later. Or, if he's interviewing, I'm taking photos or, whichever it is, we can kind of cover each other's backs.
Yeah.
It almost sounds more than two people. It sounds like you got a whole team between the two of you. You're just sort of...
It's cast 1,000. No, we've been lucky with the people that we've worked with or that have given us the opportunities. Even like Aaron.
Aaron's
has been
really actually quite instrumental in helping
and
us.
staff in general. I mean, as far as opening doors to talking to readers, to talking to other writers.
Right.
Table space at festivals and conferences.
Yeah. Nice.
We went off to Mid-South and Memphis.
Okay.
And, we had to promote CitizenLit there because that was also right before the launch. And, they've offered a space at AWP and things like that. So,
Right.
kind of giving us while we're still getting ourselves on our feet financially and things like that and finding the means to make these things happen, we have that support of...
Well, you're ornery, talented, and dedicated. It'll work out just fine, right?
So far, so good.
All right. Well, we're gonna finally get to eat these.
Yes, I've been kind of
You've been pawing at it. So we're gonna get to eat these. Thank you for joining us. This one will go up in January, so we get to see it then.
Fantastic.
And coming up, as I said earlier, we'll have Les K, Margaret Luongo, and someone from the Columbus Museum of Art coming up in the new year. So look forward to that.